All right, everybody, welcome. This is my first official game review that I'll be, you know, uploading to the wonderful world of YouTube. I'm Sean. I've got, let's see, I'll just introduce myself. Got about 5 years in GameStop retail. Don't ask me questions about GameStop. I will not answer them. Um, been gaming since 2000, 2001, maybe earlier. Started off with like GoldenEye, like everybody, pretty much. Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, all those lovely games. Gonna do my review of Last of Us Part 2. Finished it this past weekend. Been mulling it over for a good bit, and well, it's different. I will give it that. All right, so I got a script kind of roughly over here, so I'm gonna try to stick to it as best I can. I will probably go off the record at some point. But okay, so total game time for me to beat it was 18 hours and 11 minutes. Um, I will be doing slight story spoilers at the end of the video. I will let you know again when I'm about to do that, so that way I can give you everything knowledge wise up to that point, as far as like sound, game, all that kind of stuff. But all right, so yeah, okay, so I'm gonna start off with no game ever deserves a 10 out of 10. There is not a single game in the world I would consider a 10 out of 10. At the most, I can consider a game is like an 8.5 or a 9. Um, just because if it's a 10, it means without any, no one can have a problem with it. That means everyone should love it, regardless of who you are. Whether you're a shooter, sports, anything like that. 10 out of 10 means anyone should love it. Any and everyone should love it. Usually, when I review games as a baseline, I start off at a 5, and then I have criteria that give it plus or minus 1, 2, or does nothing and didn't change, anything like that. So for this, I'm going to go over like the level design, sound, the combat mechanics and leveling up, accessibility, uh, character design, character development, and then the story. All right, I'll start it off with the good old level design. Level designs of this game are beautiful as always with every Naughty Dog game. Lush overgrowth, this cities look immaculate, destruction looks decently destruction, with apocalypse of zombies infected, whatever you want to call them, and the only Naughty Dog's good at what they do, but I was hoping more for more open world since we're going to be in downtown Seattle. But I understand that at the same time, there's only so much they can do. It has that linear, partial open world of like Tomb Raider, the newer Tomb Raiders, the Uncharted, all those, where you pretty much have a path, like start point, end point, but you have like a giant birth area to explore for collectibles, Easter eggs, trinkets, gun upgrades, all that kind of stuff. Um, Pretty much not much has changed in the concept of level design. I mean, you go from Jackson, Wyoming to Seattle, Washington, and then you end up in Santa Barbara. But I mean, don't get me wrong, the game looks beautiful, but just because it's beautiful doesn't mean it's all that good on the inside and everything. Um, the sound direction of this game is unbelievably beautiful. Um, my only tweaking I had to do for the sound was I had to turn up like or turn down like the special effects and the dialogue, and then increase like the background noise, because that's where pretty much all the soundtrack is. The soundtrack isn't like it where it is in most games nowadays, where it kind of like takes over most of the sound going on. It kind of creeps in the background, so you can faintly usually hear some ambient no you can hear some ambient music, all that kind of stuff. But when I turned it up, I realized like the more tense the situation, the better the music felt with it, because I could actually hear it now. Um, but I mean, as well as that too, there is when you're in Seattle and you're going through, because there's all the cars that have been abandoned and everything, you can hear almost, give or take, I'm saying almost. You can pretty much hear all the raindrops hitting the cars, trucks, the glass, everything like that as you're going around. When you get on the ground, you're laying prone, you're crawling through the mud, you hear the squish and all that kind of stuff. Uh, but at the same time, because you're hearing all that, you're also noticing that there's no sound around you. It gives you that kind of feel of loneliness. It is the end of the world. You could die if you make too much noise, kind of a feeling. Um, the combat is the same, honestly. Not much on top of that. The AI is still crap, but I mean, what game enemy AI isn't crap? Um, you can tweak it though, so you know they're like more intense hunting you. They don't give up as quickly and be like, oh, bird, and then wander off and do whatever. Um, you have two kinds of enemies. There's the Washington Liberation Front, which is the wolves, or the wolf, whatever you want to call them. Then you also have the Scars slash the Seraphites. Um, they call themselves the Seraphites because it's kind of like a religious cult almost. Um, but the Washington Liberation Front calls them Scars. Um, the Scar slash Seraphites communicate by whistling. So, like, if you take one of them out and they discover body, they'll like, oh, that was a horrible whistle. Like they communicate like that, like just whistling. Whether or not you could hear me whistle, I don't know. My mic is kind of meh when I whistle, but they communicate like that. And as like you slowly shrink down the grouping of them by killing them off, brutalizing them, however you want to do it, guns, melee, stabby stab. Um, they start to get more erratic and panicked, and they'll actually be like, "Yo, Jason, Jason!" Not like Heavy Rain's Jason, because none of us can get over that. But like Frank, Paul, Evelyn, I think was one of them. I mean, there's only like so many names that they do and everything because they're not gonna record the same person saying the same line except for the name of a random character 500 different times for each different name. Um, I mean, you still have your skill trees. You still level up with your collecting drugs, pills, whatever you want to call them. And you upgrade your guns by finding the parts. You can do damage. You can add a sight to some of them, increased ammunition, stability, all that kind of stuff. Um, but I mean, all that's still pretty much the same. You start off with 2 skill trees for each character, and then you find these like survival guides, I guess is what you would want to call them. Training manuals, I think, is what the game calls them, if I'm not mistaken. They're kind of just survival guides, but you use those to unlock more skill trees, and then you can progress on. There are some that you almost feel required to do, like when you get the trip mines. They're so useful, especially when you come across the shamblers and the stalkers, because they're very, very sneaky and they'll blow you up in your face. But as far as accessibility goes for the game, I mean, they have it set up so you can adjust the audio preferences if you're hard of hearing. So you have like open caption. Is it open caption? Oh, let me see. I can't remember honestly. But here you go down to accessibility, so you can adjust the controls. You can magnify and visual aids. So like you can have there you go, yeah, text to speech and audio cues. But what you can do is like if you're hard of sight, it'll make the background not as bright and overloading for you. Like you and your friendly AI will be like bright blue, and the enemy will be bright red. Like there's no missing them. They also have like you can turn down the motion blur, uh, kind of gives you where you can climb, kind of stuff. And then like when you're in combat, like it'll actually slow down for you so you have time to react, all that kind of stuff. Um, like the audio, like effects, dialogue, music, that's turned up. Cinematics is up because not much was on there. Um, But I mean, yeah, as you can see, I did the special effects, like the sound effects for 55, because I just wanted to hear the music more. Um, and then you can, adjust the channels for, where your speakers are, all that kind of stuff, mono audio, if you're doing it through the one-sided headsets, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, this game was designed so that pretty much everyone can play it. I understand why. It's a good concept. I mean, let everyone enjoy the game. Now for the rough part, the characters. We still have Joel Ellie. We have Ellie's new girlfriend Dina. We have Jesse, who is Dina's ex-boyfriend, who kind of tags along with you in certain parts. You have Tommy, who's Joel's brother, as we know from the first one. There are some flashbacks, so you see Marlene again. You see some scenes of the hospital, that kind of stuff. Um, this is kind of like a refresher of like, hey, this is what happened if you don't remember. But there's some characters where like they're not in the game long enough for you to care about them, and you're just like you're introducing this character, but I don't know enough about them to honestly care what happens to them. They could die, and I'm like, oh, well, there goes a bodyguard, bullet sponge, whatever. And it's just kind of like you like the game supposed to make you care, but you really don't care because you've only been talking to that character, playing with that character on your team for 20 minutes, 30 minutes maybe. And it's just like, oh, that's cool. Bye, see you next time. But, like, there's just not enough. I kind of just wish the game was longer and it did more. Now, character development. Game's about revenge, as some of you probably know. Um, some characters, like, not to say what I'm trying to say, but like they flip flop. They'll be like, they'll kill 200 people, and then the next cutscene right afterwards, they'll be like, huh, maybe we shouldn't kill people. And I'm like, well, it's a little too late for that, don't you think? Come on now. You just obliterated 200 people with bullets, explosives, your pocket knife, axe, pipe, baseball bat, whatever. Or heck, you use the infected and use them to kill the bad guys, or vice versa. And it's just one of those where it's just like the characters almost feel empty to an extent. I mean, Ellie's still the same, Joel's still the same. Joel's still that father figure to Ellie. Ellie's like the replacement daughter in some ways. Um, but I think the one thing that kind of threw me for a tailspin was I read an article after I'd finished the game, and it kind of felt weird reading the article, and it was the game director Neil Druckmann. He was saying that if you liked the first game, you probably won't like the sequel, and I was like, why would you not want your fan base to like the sequel to the series they're the fan of? It's like, who are you making the game for then? Because if you're not making it for your fan base, who are you making it for? Are you making it to just fill a quota, make a check mark? What? Because it's just one of those, like, it just doesn't fit right. And it just makes me personally, it just made like when I finished the game, I just kind of felt like not let down per se, but it was just like it was more of like a feeling of like, thank God this is over. Like I was forcing myself to finish the game. I got about like halfway, 2/3, and I was just like, why am I still playing this game? It doesn't feel right. It just feels off. I can't exactly place it why. I mean, the story is kind of meh for me. It's just like it teeters on like trying to tell you how to feel, but also like doing the exact opposite of what it's saying. Like, oh, you should feel remorseful for, killing all these people, but we're going to force you to kill all these people because, that's the game we made. And so it's just kind of one of those kind of things. And it just felt off. I'm not quite sure what else to say. It just felt off. And okay, getting to the story now. Spoilers coming up. If you want to leave now, leave now. Uh, like I said, this is all my perspective. I know people who've loved this game and given it like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, that kind of stuff. I also know people who've given it a 2. I know people who gave it a 0 just because it just didn't feel right with them. And so I'm going to get into the story. I'm pretty much going to get up until a certain point in the story. Most of the stuff has already been revealed that I'm going to talk about, but if you've been trying to avoid spoilers and you're just trying to find out the gist of what everything is going on, that kind of a thing, be wary of what I'm about to say if you're going to stay. If not, I'll just go ahead and leave just for safe sake. So we're starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, and hopefully you're gone. If not, it's about to get wrecked. Okay, so Last of Us Part 2, it starts off with a flashback of Joel saving Ellie in the hospital, kind of refreshing you on the chaos that happened. And then you flash forward 4 years to the present day in the game. And Ellie, Joel, Tommy, they're all part of this commune in Jackson, Wyoming. And pretty much it's just a community, I guess you would say. People go off, search for supplies, walk around the perimeter, make sure there's no clickers, anything like that getting too close. Kind of just keeping a little buffer zone between them and everyone else. Keeping an eye out in case, raiders try to come and destroy them. And so Ellie and Dina go out on an excursion to find supplies, check stuff out, make sure everything's okay in a certain area towards a watchtower, that kind of a thing. And they get there, they hang out, they relax. And then Jesse comes in. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Joel and Tommy haven't come back. What's going on? And so they all split up to go find them. Meanwhile, this character, Abby, she is being attacked by like a horde of clickers, runners, all kinds of different stuff, primarily runners though. And she barely makes it out of there alive. But luckily, Joel and Tommy were here to save the day because, they're the Superman. So they get her to they get out of that whole area. They get away from the runners and they start. And Abby's like, "Ooh, I have a place nearby with a couple of my friends. We're up in this little mountainside lodge, that kind of a thing." So they go up there. They sprint, being chased by all the runners. They get there. They close the gate that's right there. It's like kind of like a gated community lodge kind of a thing. And all of her friends come out and kill all the runners that are left over. And they go inside to get warm and everything to get out of the cold because it's Jackson, Wyoming. It's cold. It's snowing. But so this is the part where the game kind of gripped me and let me go all at the same time. So they get inside. Joel says like, "Hi, I'm Joel. This is my brother Tommy." And Abby goes, "I know." Joel looks kind of puzzled, and then Abby shoots the man in the kneecap with a shotgun. And so I'm sitting here like, you really gonna do my boy dirty like that? Like, come on now. Like, you just can't do that. That's no point. That's not cool, yo. That's not cool. So, swap back to playing as Ellie, and you're stumbling across. You see the fence with all the dead runners and everything. You come up, you see the lodge. It looks suspicious, so you check out the lodge, thinking maybe they took cover in there or whatever. And she enters the lodge. You hear groaning, crying, kind of like someone's in pain because when you get shot in the kneecap, you're kind of in pain. But so she goes down to the basement where they're at, her second floor, lower floor, whatever you want to call it, and Joel's pretty much leaning up against, like, is kind of like slouched on the ground, partially leaning on the window, and Abby's pummeling him with a golf club. So Ellie charges in, tries to save the day. She gets beat. She's now pinned to the ground, face staring towards Joel. And so Abby takes the final bam, and you're just like, you're just stunned because you just can't believe they just killed off Joel. After all this talk of like, oh yeah, this is the story of Ellie and Joel and their continued relationship, all this kind of stuff, and you're still like, no, 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 this didn't happen. Like, stop it, stop, stop. Uh, you just don't expect any of this stuff to happen. You're just like, this isn't what, huh? So that happens, and then you pretty much the next good chunk, next maybe 8 9 hours roughly, we'll say 8 hours. 8 hours is pretty much Ellie and Dina running out because Tommy got beat up. So he got after this. They have like the whole funeral thing for Joel. We don't really see the funeral. It just kind of goes skip, skip, boom. So there's not even really time to grieve for the player. Really, it's just boom, you're done. And they find out Tommy's gone off to hunt down these people who are the part of the Washington Liberation Front. So they go to Seattle to chase after Tommy. They get there, they're wrecking anything that moves. If they see the WLF logo anywhere, it is dead. And then Tommy is just wrecking them also. You go into this like TV station, you see everyone with crossbow bolts or bow and arrow, or you see arrows in their heads, that kind of stuff. You see they've been brutalized. So they keep finding. So they're slowly killing and hunting down everyone that was in that group. They're trying to find Abby, the main one, the one that killed Joel. So they're going off of that, and then they pretty much found out where she is. They found out where she's hiding out, and as they're resting to prep for the assault, pretty much, um, Ellie goes out into the. Ellie hears something in the like because they're right now they're holed up in like this old like Fox Theater kind of thing. They're just in like a they're just in a theater pretty much, and you go outside, you enter into the lobby area, and all you see is somebody dies. I'm not telling you who, but someone in the group dies, and someone else is being pretty much held at gunpoint, face on the ground or on their knees, pretty much bullet to their or gun to their temple, with another one of Abby's buddies holding a freaking bow pulled out and everything, fully drawn, pointed at Ellie. And so pretty much Abby's like, you killed my friends. I let you go. I gave you the chance to get away, and you've killed my friends. Why? And so then the worst part of this game is then you go back to the beginning and you play as Abby for about the next 8 freaking hours. You play half the game as the person who kills Joel because they want you to sympathize with her and make you realize that your actions have consequences. If a game developer needs to tell you that actions have consequences, your parents failed you. Like, there is no reason that a game developer should have to tell you, like, oh, by the way, if you kill people, they're gonna want revenge. And I'm just like, well, no, duh. I'm sorry. If someone killed my brother, I'm gonna want revenge. And then I kill their buddy. They want to then kill me. It's a never ending cycle of destruction. But guess what? It's a video game. I just want a story, god dang it. And, so yeah, so you pretty much find out that the doctor who was doing this, who was gonna do the surgery on Ellie, was Abby's dad. What to frickin' do? This guy wanted to kill a 14-year-old girl to save the world. I'm sorry. No. Any father will tell you that if it was their daughter on the table, they would have wrecked you if you were gonna say you were gonna kill her. I don't care if you were gonna save the world from coronavirus or cancer. No. I would never sacrifice any of my family members to save a bunch of nobodies that I don't know. I'm sorry. That's just me, though. I believe in the whole protect my own, that kind of a thing. So when the apocalypse happens, I will protect my own. I'll protect my family and my friends. If you are not part of those, and now I'm potentially going to see you as a threat. So, sorry. But, um, but yeah, but then you pretty much play those 3 days that Ellie's in Seattle hunting them down. You're then playing it from Abby's point of view, and then it pretty much culminates to you sneaking into the theater and you doing stuff. And then I'm gonna stop there. That is all up to you if y'all want to finish it and play it. I mean, you can always check PewDiePie's stream. He streamed the whole entire game. His reactions to the game are kind of funny. I've only seen clips of moments where he's just like, no, 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 no. Also, you know how they said they wouldn't force you to kill a dog? They force you to kill a dog. You can avoid every other dog except for this one because it's one of those like quick time event stupidness that we all love in video games is quick time events. But but yeah, so I mean, I rated the game like a 4.5 out of 10. I mean, I started at the 5. Um, I'll tell you what I've rated everything then. So level design was neither positive nor negative. It didn't really change much. The sound I gave it +2. Combat didn't change. Accessibility for anyone that can play, I gave it +2. Characters I gave it a -1. And then character development I gave it a -2. And then the story was just utter garbage for me. It was -2. I'm not going to sympathize with someone who killed a beloved character that I've loved for the past 6, 7 years, however long ago Last of Us 1, 2013. So yeah, 7-ish years. You just can't do that. Like, you can, I mean, but you got to make the rest of the game mean something for that character. And it really didn't. Yes, there were moments where like you had flashbacks of Joel and it's him trying to teach Ellie, blah blah blah. You need to forgive me, all this other kind of stuff. That he realizes his actions were wrong morally, but he didn't care. He would do whatever he could to protect Ellie, and it's that kind of thing. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, no, I just can't feel that way. You've killed off a beloved character 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours into a sequel of a game that you've been saying for the longest time since 2016 or 2017. Hey, here's the continued story of Joel and Ellie. I expect maybe should have died off at the end of the game, maybe, and that would have been more impactful for me. But I digress. That's my perspective on the game. Leave your comments below if you want to. Like, dislike, subscribe. You know the deal. This is YouTube after all. Um, I'm Echelon007. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv. SEAN Sean is Kirito. Potentially going to be changing that to Echelon007 to just match everything across the board. Hope y'all have a good night. I mean, well, night for me, it's 2 a.m. as I'm recording this right now. But y'all have a good one. Live long and prosper. And stay safe, everyone. Bye.